Hello everyone, welcome back to Algebra 2 lessons. Today we are going to talk about the last topic of this unit, and this time we are going to talk about the rational equations. So whenever you saw equation, you probably think about we are going to solve equation. Yes, we are going to learn a new strategy to solve this kind of equation. But before we start talking about solving equation, you may wonder what is rational equation? So to answer that question, the first question we need to understand is rational expression. So whenever you hear the word rational, probably you can recall the number we call rational numbers. So rational number is the one we can actually is all kinds of numbers. It's a number we can present it as a fraction, for example, like 3 over 2, 7 over 3, things like that. If we can present a number in a fraction, then we call this rational number. So similar to this situation, the rational expression is 1. We can put in all this kind of thing. We can represent the variables in terms in this kind of fractional form. This is rational expression. And then if I put this all terms together, not really together, and I set an equation equals to something, then I have a rational equation. So it's very straightforward. We put a rational expression together. Now we have a rational equation. So today the focus will be how do we solve this type of the equation. So to jump to the solving part, before that I would like to show you something here, and I would like you to have a look. So I want you to compare the left side and also right side. You can definitely pause the video and tell me what something you notice. Not really tell me. I guess it's, think about something you notice. These are the two equations and left, right. And the x equal 1 is actually their solution. So I want you really pay special attention here and think about what kind of, funny thing or interesting thing you notice. And you can pause the video and think about it. So to understand this is actually a solution, I can just quickly plug in the number here. 1 minus 3 plus 2 times 1 plus 1. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. Negative 2 plus 2 times 1, which is 2. Negative 2 plus 2 is 0. 0 plus 1, of course, 0. Equal to 1. Check. And same thing here. If I plug into this, it's going to be 1 minus 3 over 1 plus 2 times 1 plus 1 over 1 equals 1 over 1 is actually still equal to 1. As you can see, everything over 1 is actually same as exactly the number we have talked before. Everything divided by 1 is itself, so nothing changes. I can just cancel the denominator, and you will see is that it's exactly the same ones because the top part is same as this one. So now I want you to focus on this part. So as you can see, this part is actually same as this part. So if we just talk about the top part, we are actually looking at the exactly same equation. The only difference here, we have a denominator, but they all have the same denominator. So this is actually a good hint for us. So to solve the rational equation, as you can see, this is actually a rational equation. We need to have same denominator. Denominator is a number we put on variables we put on the bottom. So rational equation, in order to solve rational equation, apparently we need to have the same denominator. In that way, we can just, simply just eliminate the denominator and to have a very simplified equation here. So of course, there's still some, techniques, some strategies we are going to use. So in order to have that skills, we are going to have two quick warm-ups. Let's check the first one. The first one definitely is very familiar one. Probably you did this in 6th grade, adding fraction. So adding fractions, some students know that, probably still remember that. Adding fraction is not just adding the number on the top, adding the number on the bottom. We actually need to change the number to the same denominator. And we know 12 is a multiple of 4. So we are going to multiply 3 for that. And whatever you do, the bottom, you need to do the same thing for the fraction, because that way you can keep the equivalent fraction. Now change it to 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 3 is 12. Now I can add them. Just like you are dealing with, there's a 9 out of people out of 12 is something. So that context is actually same. Now we can just add them together. So I can keep the denominator, and also 9 plus 5 is 14. You can definitely simplify this or not, but the key idea is this is the way we do to have the same denominator. Let's check this one. So second warm-up is something we have to recall, LCM. LCM is a word for least common multiple. So when we say multiple, one thing I need to remind you, for example, 2 and 3. The common multiple of 2 and 3 is 6, meaning 2 times 3 is 6, 3 times 2 is 6. So the least common multiple for this two numbers is 6. And we can see for 4 and 12, which is 12. For x and 2x is, so some students probably are going to say, oh, this x is not, it's actually 2x. You need to think about something. You multiply itself to get to this. It's not dividing. It's not something they have common. 3 and 6x, as you can see, one has a variable x, but the other one doesn't. So you are going to think about the two things. First, for variables 3 and 6, the least common multiple is 6, and they don't have x. They do, so you need to use x to cover it. Least common multiple is x squared for this one. One thing I want to remind you, is very easy to get confused about greatest common factor. Remember, factor and multiple, they're exactly the opposite terms. For example, 3 is a factor of 6, and 6 is a multiple of 3. Okay, so multiple is something you multiply to get that number. So the next one, remember, whenever you see the expression like this, they have a 2. You have to consider this is a whole term. So apparently, when you look at these two terms, there's nothing in common, right? So that's why it's actually, for the multiple, you have to multiply them together to get the multiple, just like 2 and 3. There's nothing in them to common to get this. So that's why you multiply them together to get the least common multiple. Another example, you can think about this 3 and 5, which is 15. So you multiply them to get the least common multiple. To deal with fraction, same thing. You multiply them together to get least common multiple. Okay, so this is all the work we need to get ready to solve the rational equation. So now we are going to check the very first example, this one. So as you can see, the very first thing, we always need to find LCM, or this time we can even call LCD. Really no difference. Least common multiple, but this one is least common denominator. Just like when we deal with fraction, in order to solve this one, I need to have same. I need to change everything to the same. So change denominator to be same. So the very first thing, I need to make sure all the fractions have the same denominator. So let's check. I have 2, I have 4x, I have another 4x, so it's the same. Then let's think about what is the least common denominator between 4 and 4x, which is 4x. So that means I need to change everything to be 4x. Now the question is, what do I need to do to change to the 4x? So some students probably already figured out, in order to change the 4x for 2 is going to be 2 times 2x. You're right, very good. So remember, you need to change something on the bottom. You are going to do the same thing for the top. So now I have 2x over 4x minus 9 over 4x equals 3 over 4x. When you have all the same denominator, you can just think about this way. I can just multiply everything by 4x. I will write down here. So if I multiply everything by 4x, what does that mean? The denominator is gone. So that's why we need to use the same denominator, because that case, it will be gone. Now the equation becomes 2x minus 9 equal to 3. See, I don't have fractions anymore, and now I just solve the equation like the regular way. I'm plus 9, cancel, 2x equal to 12, x is 6. So if you wonder, hey, is that even right? You can definitely always put the 6 into the equation to get it, to check the answer. And I will guarantee you, it will give you the same answer. We can even have a quick check here. 1 over 2 minus 4 times 6. Let's check. I'm not going to have this one. So 4 times 6 is going to be 24, 9. And this one, I'm going to change for something of 24. So if I subtract it, 24, 3, which is exactly this is 24, 3. So same. So even this is a fraction, but we know the left side equal to right side, so we know this is going to be a solution. Now let's quickly go over what I did to solve the equation. Very first, I checked the denominator is 2 and 4x. So I think, hey, what is the least common multiple here between these two terms, which is 4x. So that will be the goal to change for each one. And the only thing is, the 4x you don't need to change, you just keep it. For 2, I multiplied 2x. I did something to the bottom. I did the same thing to the top. Now I have 2x over 4x. So now when I have the same denominator, the denominator is not my concern anymore. I can simplify to multiply everything by the same denominator to cancel the denominator. Now I have only top part, so I just solve this like a regular equation. And that's it. That's how do we solve this equation here. Of course, we have, we definitely have more complicated rational equation. So later, I'm going to show you another example to solve it. You can definitely check that example to reinforce your understanding. But this is how do we solve it. It's really nothing new. It just, combine something we know before to the variables we know now. I hope this video is helpful. See you soon in the second video.